Talking, never ever doing. Facts in your face, blacks never cluing. Fortress gate on your mind, you won't let ruin. Blame outside yourself, worldly life ruined. Emotion bubbles and troubles, volcano mouth spewing. Left flat like Montserrat when democracy moving. Vaporization at female welfare centers. Get blasted as you enter, won't get to spend a cent or a dollar. I guarantee you won't even holler or feel it. Stiff from shock, bystanders won't believe it. Hammers cocked, G20 scene. Corral the shadow like herds of cattle. Wasting energy, struggling not for battles. Pointing fingers, complaining about conditions that you help to implement and put yourself in. And trust, put your wealth in. No rush, don't procrastinate, cause they stealthing. Liquidating government assets called wards to conquer. I guarantee the pen's mightier than swords. Saying they know God, but calling her him and Lord. Make you pill pop, then call diseases cured.
Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just.
Yeah, it's a matrix. Act Sophia Stewart. Prevention is better. I won't be in those courts. Color of office and authority pushing de facto laws. Smash in your eye socket and crack your jaw. Misprison of treason and acts of war and fraud. In places so high, even through the gates of God. As my cup runneth over ancestors' court. My soul is the shore where my thoughts are moored. My lines beautiful like my goddess facial contour. Or ugly like a wild boar, a crying child. Or your face after a taste of the iron claw. I wonder if these heads will ever be ready. Will they stop chasing and conserve energy? Probably not, cause they high off the kush pot. The no seed weed will most definitely shrivel up your seeds on the spot. Your flow is like a hot pot with diarrhea squirts. Wearing tight ass pants and extra small shirts. Conscious schools, mental wrestling, black power jerks. Talk bad about master but accept his perks.
Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just. Ain't no rest for the righteous, so I might just.
With a chain on your brain, with niggas no plan. K-Alpha plan, vaporize, no bodies laying. Got nations reclaiming republics back. Constitution enforcing on the demo acts colored. Can't be a verse, I'm a more first. Will claim to be ham and catch that pork curse. Following black power that lost debates. Slap Doc for having a lawyer, set the record straight. The Moors are back, burn your Nuwapian race. Pushing Malachi York with no Ellis fake. Allah's temple of Islam, perpetrate the fraud. Push true to the back, uplifting fraud. Claiming to be Lord, get thrown overboard. Dirty Moors talk, I walk cause y'all overboard. Got sisters heads under, not over swords. Camel clutch minds with hoping thoughts. Iron sheep knowing, all niggas believing. Candyman was the master, not Steven. Odds aren't in their favor and not even. Rappers think the MCs are not even. A lot of you folks are conscious jokes. Moors rich CC, the Hague and retiring popes. Send me a message, I don't reply to folks. I live the prophet lessons, I don't parrot his quotes. Slavery been overshadowed, still wearing the yokes. No gold or silver or land is back in the notes. IRS, CRA demand you to pay tax with no conscience when they're not Congress. Falling for bomb threats and other nonsense like rappers' lives. They exercise only onsets. This is physicist, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 all elements. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicist, not Genesis. Mike imagination heights, born Pegasus. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence. Papers and cars can't save minds enslaved. Just do like Cassius Clay. Correct your names like Yasin and Spraga. Adopt, elevate. Grow up, stop God and put the God away. Prophet Drew Ali said it all. The most I can say you won't understand. Ask Victoria, Monet, Ash Nas. He said he thought like the colonists, and no, Drew Ali started dropping that consciousness, which means he knew he was no nigga, and saw things clearer when he wiped off his mirror. I spit almorical rhymes, who's iller? Genuine without the Miller Drive, who's chiller? Keys drop, but some put locks to open them. Waiting on walkers on water and floating, man. Time to get awakened, no sleeping or waiting. Acting like it's sedated for operations. Bush Kush got mine shrinking, not dilating. Hear rappers' tracks, I get sick like smelling bacon. If I'm shopping, I'm copping broccoli. Being a more saying you're black is a mockery. No death threats or suits will be stopping me. Sight beyond sight, no obstacles blocking me. Stand strong and firm, nothing propping me. Iron sheet, hip-hop pills, stop popping me. This is physicist, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 hard elements. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicist, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, Born Pegasus. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence.
I'm all over Ship C. Welcome to the board meeting year round. 4 seasons, I'll gather here for a reason. So let's throw the gods away. No out of worship consecrated. There's something wrong when the created God is not your favorite in your congregation. I'll never be a Christian more. Propagating the faith, you could be a victim of swords. I walk over the water, emotional tyranny. You say the B is for the spelling or the YouTube parodies. Apparently, we have to draw from scratch to see our artwork. Let's get it together, guys. Draw the image and sharpen. With the image of our people with businesses and commerce. Muhammad and our face and Drew Ali begins to conquer. It's the capital, weekly Chicago, it's decided. Oversized Temple of America business license. He can have to leave, so I fill up the water for him from right in it. With my music playing, oh, the horror. Praise the Father God, Allah, Yahweh, Eloah. Broken the yoke of our burden, and we're bound to get closer to the disclosure of the truth. For locking the hypnosis of the devils that had cultures to play the game with exposure. I'm with the harmonies of life, a mystical encounter. And my person, what they want with the contract on the counter. I'm lost on the worst territories, no brother man's children with the horse again, and their moments of
physicist, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 hard elements. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicist, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, Born Pegasus. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence.
Who my nemesis? What is evidence that they trying to erase all of the remnants of my DNA? Can't trace my inheritance back to my Moorish ancestors who were prevalent. On my premises, do this residence, puppets on strings. We call them the surrogates. Kiss the ring of a prince. We setting precedents. Kiss the ring. I'm a prince. I'm setting precedents. Pay homage to a king. Never knows heaven sent. Sideline. Watch us do a thing. No type of hesitance. We the ancients that descend. Don't care about being relevant. And never since the genes of ISIS, authority from the wombs, always been priceless. So it's fitting that this tunes called as ISIS. Most waiting on the tune to make things righteous. I'm aligning with the moon. Planning my life quest. Dominion from June. Made in her likeness. I was fed with a spoon before I could bite it. Yeah, you thought you were in tune. Your mind ain't right yet. Called you the broom. Waiting on flight deck out the way, make room. This is our mic check. Taking the fumes. You might even like it.
This is physicist, not Genesis. 4 quadrants around 7 hard elements. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC, magnetic resonance. This is physicist, not Genesis. Mike Imagination Heights, Born Pegasus. This is physicist, not Genesis. Moorish MC of great eminence. Yo, Circle 7 medallion on, might have affairs on, might be on the couch with your son getting an air on heights blackout, not profiles for Trayvon, misguided young Moors getting their jail or grave on, basketball and entertainers getting their slave on, no charges, popes get their little boy rape on, false prophets got people worshiping Shaitan, selling souls, new cipher getting their stake on, rare still blood dripping, not on the apron, shielded the splash sash and Moorish cape on, Grand Dragon palm clasping Master Mason, more still a subject of the Moorish nation, more still in our homeland, more still in our homeland, more still no Indian treaty with no man, more still on the studies, more for your program, more still in our homeland. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. They got your birthright like torches controlling your forces. Turning master churches, Moorish fortress on the hill attracting tourists. How we do this and did this. Sign, seal, prince and witness. My birthrights can't compare to paper terrorists, misfits. Pseudo sovereigns on the dirty, more dipshit. Solving their own problems. Dry hang you. Magistrate and DA game, Mr. Gang bang you. Banging you like Black Power should be banging the beast. They made a cracker cry or even kissing their feet. Moorish team, Moorish MC, Moorish beats, casting out rapping civil mortis creeps. I'm rooting for the underdogs, always for me. Underachievers, non-believers and freaks. Cause believers have no faith when they start a hope. Stay far, or it's them and you on the rope. More still in our homeland. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. More still in our homeland. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. Slaves swinging and swaying for blinging and playing. More's parrot and the prophet won't do what he's saying. I never said cause prophet's not dead. Thought of Allah, don't care about your Twitter tweets or Facebook threads. Manifesting virtual, computer turn idol. War cyber, booby trap net, optics fiber. Won't make me follow some Pied Piper. Put me on, won't take me off like dry diapers. Change the world without a bullet, no snipers, no recoil. 5 on the chest stance, Moorish B-boy, Moorish master MC, rapper body caster. Rappers are molded like plasticine, get bodied after. Sent on his white horse to the thereafter. Sent back for more still and stay here after. With no standing, sheep force your landing. More still expanding and hex handing. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. More still in our own land. More still in our homeland. More still no Indian treaty with no man. More still on the studies won't fall for your program. My MC sarcophagus open, red hooded cloak soaking of oils essential, glowing from my mental. Some slide with a coward glide out the temple. Arrogant, egotistical, pseudo-mysticals. Silence from lips telepathic and graphic. I'm communicating with identified ships, objects flying in zigzag and symmetric patterns. My pyramid core looks like a cavern, spiritual war, reflecting off the raging cauldron water bubbles. No burning wood smell, no heat but cough doubles. No smoke watching broken puddles, glass flowing, grass growing, foaming, smoking nozzles. To minds, my words are fossils, colossal. Dirty Moors appearing as doubting apostles. Glowing lower chakras, fireflies and bottles. Won't give enough light and minds to get me out the darkness. Spirits around me, soul and heartless. All 5 senses, shock watching, a walking carcass. Wires poking out from foreheads, blink to answer iPhones. Mouth tubes going through nose to lungs to smoke hydro. Time I travel so far, chasing a star. Dark comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star. Dark comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star. Zooming past comets, dodging quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star. Zooming past comets, dodging quasars. MC sarcophagus open, from slaves to cyborg psychos. Hatching through the door as rage leaks from pores. Black hole, not vinyl. Watching it spiral, disciple of the archetypal. Hip-hop revival. Impulses versus suicidal impulses. Bonafide genocide, I'm crucifying vultures. Not absorbing into cultures. Burst out like Gamma Bay. I'm like Alhambra days. My veiled sunglasses on like rapper shades. I'm seeing aliens with locks and turbans, not grays, floating off the platform, greeting me with Islam gestures. Blue flame corkscrew around scepters, using a portal as an entrance. Galactic world pendants with some solar flare, double helix necklace. Couldn't believe what I'm seeing. I gotta get this. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, zooming past comets, dodging quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, zooming past comets, dodging quasars. My MC sarcophagus open, sitting at the table of ascendant masters, not descendant pastors, telling me about silent brotherhood mysteries and true Ali, conquering the 6 degrees, becoming the logos to reteach his stories to get us off the mental slave trees. Telling me to study the works, not slander from jerks, conspiring with de facto jurisdictions for perks, taking de jure paperwork to corporate clerks, be mindful of dirty morals, throwing dirt on your worth. At that time, up stood one of the turban sages, created a timeline in space to show the ages of all the galaxies, universal places of existence, explained from a distance, inner, under, and overwhelmed realms of persistence, indoor bright with the sun's light, moon, wax and wane in my brain, energy gunfights, indoor bright with sun's light, moon, wax and waves in my brain, energy gunfights. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, dodging comets, zooming past quasars. One time I traveled so far, chasing a star, zooming past comets, dodging quasars. It's lawnmowers. Peace and love. I just wanted to say that before we do this.
Any special thing you carried into the game on Sunday that you had tucked away somewhere?
I did. I always, I've learned a lot from my wife over the years. She's so about the power of intention, and believing things that are really going to happen. And
hold on a second. So we'll just check something right here. Just check something. Very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. Very, very interesting. So we're just going to go to page 41. Page 41. Actually 43. In The Ultimate Cure, the Healing Energy Within You. Jim Drever. Dreaver. And that's Dr. Jim for the people who like to be on YouTube and stuff and just talk BS and never give a reference point ever. Here's a reference point for you. Dr. Jim, Jim Drever, Dreaver. And his book, The Ultimate Cure, the Healing Energy Within You. And of course it's a European, because they know you better than you know your damn self. And you're just playing around out here. Let's just go to page 45. Let's just get to the point. Observing your thoughts. Observing your thoughts. Okay, observe. Just look up observe to see what that means. And then thoughts. and observing those. Forget observing the screen in front of you. Forget observing what's around you. How do you observe your thoughts? What's the benefit of this European writing this book or whatever, tell people observe their thoughts? As you learn to pay attention to your thoughts, you can begin to catch the negative, limiting thoughts and consciously choose to replace them with more positive ones. Newsflash? No, you've been known. We're just going back to Mr. How much ever championships won, broke every record, whatever like that, Gillette guy. You have these people telling you about some lectures, debate, some BS. How about start with observing your thoughts and making sure the negative thoughts like I'm Negro, black, colored, African, came here on a slave ship, indigenous, aboriginal, whatever, stay out of your mind. Because those are negative thoughts. But you're not observing your thoughts, how would you know? You're observing everything externally. When the point is to go within. That's why the 7 on the Holy Quran is within the circle that's broken, which means it's not a circle. It's 4 quadrants and 7 in 4 quadrants, which could also be Stonehenge. So going back to spiritual whatever and going within. The 7 is man at the 7th chakra, and he went within the circle. Realize when he went into the circle, you make the quadrant, and then you draw the line from the quadrant to the quadrant. You have a square, and you have a square and a circle. But if you try to do that with blocks, it'll never work. But it works. So it's all about within. Becoming aware of your thoughts and then making a choice around them is one of the first steps in developing some detachment from your experience. In opening up the witness faculty within you, the ability to mentally stand back, so to speak, and just observe what's passing through your mind. Now keep in mind, if somebody is able to do some ritual and then some guy ends up being a Gillette guy, big time Gillette guy, could it maybe be possible that this person could maybe do a ritual and put a spell on this guy to think that he's really in love with her or whatever, when she's really a witch and she's been seeing him, she's been wanting him from however long or whatever like that, did the ritual, wrapped up the stuff, cut his hair off when he wasn't looking and all that stuff, did all the stuff, got him. And then now put everything in motion for this man so she could sit back and have a good life, because she's a witch. She knows how to manipulate the ethers to get her whatever. But that's just speculation. They love each other and, whatever. So Gillette guy, remember, he's speaking for his wife. Because he's just the freaking pincushion. He's a dummy on the thing to make the ritual work. He's the puppet. She's the master. He's not the one, the 8-time champion or the whatever. She is. Putting it all out there. Why? Because it's matriarch time right now. Putting it all out there. Forget the stuff that I freaking won or whatever. Let me really tell you, after all these years, after I won 500 billion champions of whatever, you name it, I beat it, and nobody can say that I'm not the best in the world.
Right.
Let me tell you what happened. My wife gave me this pouch or whatever.
Yeah.
So we want you to really remember, this is a 280-page book. You know, we just read a little portion so you could see why we're Moors. We don't play the BS. People can play BS all they want to, but we're divine and national. Divine first means anything spiritual, enlightening, self-realizing, elevating. Go through, pick something. That's what this is first. So we're gonna just show that you've been told. This is championship guy telling you what is up after he won all the stuff. She's about the power of intention. Believing that things are really going to happen. How's that happening? Because she's observing her thoughts. She's not thinking about no BS. Only thing she's thinking about is, this guy's winning a championship, this guy's winning a championship, this guy's winning a championship. And then you get into, you know, whatever tone that is, that's going to make you manifest the stuff. Because he already volunteered to be the puppet, because he took the necklace and he took the stuff that she said drink, and he, well, yeah, we didn't get there yet, but there's a lot more. You got a little piece you want to get in right now?
Yeah, Islam. Just to add on exactly what you was just saying. In the book, The Secret, from Rhonda Bourne, on page 3, it says, "What is the secret?" Bob Proctor. You've probably been sitting there wondering, what is the secret? I'll tell you how I've come to understand it. We all work with one infinite power. We all guide ourselves with exactly the same laws. The natural laws of the universe are so precise that we don't even have any difficulty building spaceships. We can send people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Wherever you are, India, Australia, New Zealand, Stockholm, London, Toronto, Montreal, New York, we're all working with one power, one law. It's attraction. Hold on, Rishi.
Yeah, man. Attraction. They're saying that's a law.
Sorry about that, Rishi.
There's a lot more.
As well. If I can continue.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, wherever you are, and she names all those places, we're all working with one power, one law. It's attraction. The secret is the law of attraction. Everything that's coming into your life, you are attracting into your life. And it's attracted to you by virtue of the images you're holding in your mind. It's what you're thinking. Whatever is going on in your mind, you are attracting to you. Every thought of yours is a real thing, a force. Just wanted to add that on. Rhonda Bourne, the book called The Secret. Because the Grand Sheik was going in on how the way the way, like he took the potion, he's being used. It's in his mind now. Whatever my wife says, I got to ask my wife, are we going to win? Whatever she does, it's all in his mind with her. And she already knows that too. She's doing the same thing to him, making him know, like, it's in me. The power is in me. Whatever I'm going to do, that's how you're going to win. If she's playing like a true witch, she's acting like a real witch with the things she's doing, using the power of attraction. Like,
it's in your mind. Whatever she already knows, whatever it is that you think, that's going to be your power.
Right.
You know, that's what's going to be the force.
And you know, for the ones, well, how come so many of our people are in the ghetto, and how come so many of our people or whatever, and they think about what they don't think about anything. They think about BS.
Oh, please.
No, people aren't sane. People are under such heavy control through food, and you know what I mean? Like, we're not even getting into drugs that they're taking for whoever knows why they're taking that or whatever.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because you have to be livicated. So we can't even say dedicated. You have to be livicated to a higher standard. That you're not going below the higher standard that you set. And trust me, we built stuff as more. So our standards are crazy. We're dumb today compared to our ancestors. Dumb. We're all niggers compared to our ancestors.
Oh, absolutely.
We're climbing ourselves out of niggerdom. And the first thing you gotta do is fix your shit. Don't be bringing your luggage to the game. You know what? You don't have your luggage. All you need is your shoes or whatever. Islam bird that
Right.
just came right there. Right? Our people are so off where they're supposed to be. This guy is Gillette guy. Doesn't even need a shave. He's Gillette guy. And everybody buy Gillette just because this guy. This guy's telling you, forget football BS. My wife is a witch. There's only 1 minute. They're playing around like it's a joke or whatever like that. You know what I mean? It's not. Is it just me, or is 1 minute and 84 seconds 13? You tell me the witch stuff is not real? How is 13 the number for the witch? And then the time for the video is actually 13. And that's witch's number. And he's talking about a witch in this.
Really?
You think we make this up? We can't make this up like that. But no, people are so lost into the national and doing trust and all type of BS. They can't even find a more to trust, but you want to do goddamn trust. What a load of trust. Can't even trust half these goddamn Moors. Talking crazy. Oh, Noble Jolly always told you, if you don't do anything, declare your nationality. What the hell are you doing all this other stuff? You haven't even declared your nationality. You got people over here got witches as wives and stuff like that. And you tell me that you're not Moors? We're talking, we're crazy? All because you're not looking at it from divine. Caught up in the physical, or we'll say the national. Caught up in the national. Left the divine. dangling by the D. The national standing strong with the flag behind it and all that stuff, and then these looking like a crackhead. You want to know how come national just standing there, not active, passive, just standing there. But he's national. His national status of a allodial trust more and all this stuff like that. You got whatever you got. But divine is nowhere to be seen. Divine went to run and hide. The divine doesn't want to deal with these crazy people. So you better look at things divine. Because these people are not playing. This man said that his wife is a witch. He's not lying. He's not just saying that like some jokes on some Gillette stuff. Witch is real. Not the context that you with the broom and the black cat on the top of the broom and they're flying on the broom and all that stuff. If that's what you say witch and then that's what comes to your mind, then go back to the ultimate cure because you need help. Because the ultimate cure is not to have negative thoughts. And if you think that a witch is a broom and then the black hat going down and got the wart on the nose and whatever, that's witch. You're out your damn mind. Give it up, you'll be back. See you next round. Just get off the thing and go do something else right now. Because you're not worthy. Divine first or nothing. It's real simple. Islam taught the Moors who keep it divine first. Realize what's up, quick, fast. Can't even play around with it because Allah guides it. So you're divine, you better be on your square. If you're not on your square, when you get to that national, don't be mad when they don't accept your stuff and all that stuff because you didn't put in no work. Remember, people's wives are witches. Moors playing around. While people have witch wives, and they're winning 500 million championships.
She's so about the power of intention, and believing things that are really going to happen. And she always makes a little altar for me at the game because she just wills it so much. And
right now, people getting caught up in some little romantic. Oh, the romantic. Oh, that's so sweet that you have an altar at the game. At the game, not in the back or whatever like that. At the game. How much games they play? Brother Yusuf. Because I know, I think you're muted.
Right.
He's more like as ex-player. When you talk about going out there, play a sport and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How do you really think that, because since you're a player you can talk, right? I can't talk because I never played or whatever. Do you think that thought can manipulate a game so one guy could win as much as this guy won?
Oh, absolutely. What? Absolutely. Absolutely.
And from the perspective of being on the turf, grass, whatever. Did he win then? If he did that?
Ask me that one more time.
Did he really win all those things if he did the the witchcraft?
Now listen to this story right here. Now it just hit me. Cause now I realized something. Okay, now when we was in school, our running back, right? His Moabite in school, she made him a shirt, right? Now we didn't know about this shirt at all. We would just play our games. We were undefeated. Went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. This man at the end of the year shows us his shirt that his girl made him. It had the date on it and everything from the beginning of the season, telling him he was going to win it. Everything. She wrote it on the shirt. He wore it every day to every game, every game. And then they realized that, to see that it worked. We were undefeated. With him wearing that shirt, end of the season, Super Bowl came. He showed us the shirt. He said, and we wondering why he didn't show it, because y'all would have clowned me, and I would have never worn it. That's exactly what happened too. We would have clowned him for wearing that shirt. And we would have lost all them games.
All them games.
All of that. 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 That is true. That's exactly what happened. She made him a shirt he used to wear underneath it. Just a regular t-shirt. She just wrote on it with permanent marker, different colors, designed it up, and he wore it every game. Every game he wore that shirt. This is what he's telling us at the end, because it was like he got to talk about at the end of the game. They interviewed him and he told everybody what happened. That's the story he told about the shirt.
That's crazy.
He told about that shirt. Now I don't know if 20 years later they're together still or anything, but I know we won the Super Bowl.
and once again, it was mother.
Oh, of course. Oh, let me add on to that real quick, please. Okay. In a book called The New Age Lies to Women by Wanda Mars, on page 131, it says, "We women are going to bring an end to God. Another new age authority, Naomi Goldenberg, who teaches religion at the University of Ottawa in Ontario, Canada, as a feminist theologian, hardly agrees with Luther in her book, Changing of the Gods. Goldenberg approvingly predicts the eventual overthrow of the existing forms of both Christianity and Judaism. God is going to change," she writes. "We women are going to bring an end to God. We will be the end of him." Goldenberg goes on to add that the Christian God just won't fit anymore. The women's movement is destined, according to Goldenberg, to bring about religious changes on a massive scale, helping to lessen the influence on humanity of Christ and the Old Testament, the Old Testament God. Happily, Goldenberg writes, quote, It seems highly likely that the West is on the brink of developing a new mysticism. Witchcraft is recommended by Goldenberg as a perfect substitute for Christianity. Islam.
Read that again.
Right. Yo, she just called me. She said,
there it go.
Going in today.
There it go.
I said, all right. All right. I go to the Moroccan library and I'll pull it all out.
Pull it out, boy.
Get your pens ready today. I'm giving y'all something I never gave nobody, none of these books today. Y'all get your pens ready today. The book is called New Age Lies to Women from Wanda Mars. She's page 132. Happily, Goldberg writes, quote, "It seems highly likely that the West is on the brink of developing a new mysticism. Witchcraft is recommended by Goldenberg as a perfect substitute for Christianity."
Wow. That is a real one.
Unbelievable, Gracie.
That's
I can't believe. I just turned to the page. You know that too. You know I just turned to the page.
Right, but that goes back to that is why in Zen it is said, if you meet Buddha on the road, kill him. Such a statement shocks us at first because it sounds so sacrilegious. Yet, there's great wisdom in it. The essence of Buddha's teachings is that Buddha is in you. If you think he's outside, you're making a big mistake. So kill that illusion. Kill that illusion. If you see Jesus walk up, you better hit him with a brick. Because that's not him. Oh my gosh. He is in you. He is in you. He is in you. Stop looking outside yourself. Looking for some stuff outside yourself. Just not always say to kill Buddha or whatever. So I know you dirty Moors want to take snippets of stuff and all that stuff. Cujo never said kill Buddha. It was the Zen. This is their teachings. Don't get mad because we just put it out there. Don't get mad. Islam more.
Islam.
Yeah. You got anything else before we go back to the thing?
1 second. She go again.
Gillette guy.
Yeah, I got lost. Close the book. 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. It was page 131.
What the hell?
Okay. It says, Helena Blavatsky, New Age New Age prophetess. It is understandable why women have such high and prominent leadership roles in the New Age. Helena Blavatsky is still considered a saint, indeed, as ascended master to many in the New Age. In 1888, The Secret Doctrine, her classic work on occultism in the New Age to come, was published. Later in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, Alice Bailey, founder of the Lucis Trust and a follower of Blavatsky, came to the fore. Over 20 books were dedicated to Bailey through her demon spirit guide, Dunjawal Collins. These books have been read and treasured by literary millions of new agers all over the globe. I just wanted to just point out how many people are picking up on the new mysticism.
The new mysticism. To replace Christianity. That's crazy. To replace that. Under game. Been on it. Been on it.
And so she put together a little altar for me that I could bring with pictures of my kids. And I have these little special stones and healing stones and protection stones. And she has me wear a necklace and take.
No, that's still okay. Protection stone, right? No, there's one. Let's see. They must have something. Okay, so now he said he has protection stones. Then his injury stuff looks pretty light. Brother Yusuf. There's a lot more. Now, that's another question. Now, man just said that he had protection stones and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I pull up his injury, whatever,
there we go.
His injury thing is saying, okay, September 7, 2008, knee ACL tear grade 3.
Right.
2010, pedal foot fracture. 2014, left calf strain. 2014, pedal ankle sprain, pull unspecified, grade 1.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, athletes know what you're. Okay, okay. Football players, like the way you're listing that injury, it sounds like you're naming the depth chart for the IR for this. Like this how many people hurt. This the position. This is what's hurt. But you talking about one person. Like this is already getting like. This is Tom Brady. I didn't even know he had this many injuries. And then, like, to hear the injuries, like, I know people who had those injuries, like the torn ACL.
Yeah.
That happened to my when I went to college in Utah, quote unquote Utah, the running back tore his ACL. He was done. I'm not saying, they're not getting the best treatment, surgery, and stuff like that. But for all of those, that's like if your convenience starts having all those problems, you start thinking, oh, I must got a mullen or something. Like something's wrong with this vehicle. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So-called, like it has too many problems. This guy's winning championships. That's like saying your wheel keeps breaking down, but you're still doing 135 miles per hour. How are you doing that? You're supposed to be breaking down every 2 seconds, but he's still winning championships. Like, that's incredible. It's more than just, you can't just fix stuff like that. Like, even when people come back off of their injury from torn ACL, are you serious? You still, the broken foot. So I know he got screws in his foot. When you break your foot, the only way they can put it back together, they got to put screws in it. Our cornerback, Quincy Waller, played cornerback for Snow College. He broke his foot, got screws in his foot, came back. Them screws came right back out his foot. You can't just be on that like that. Like, to hear those injuries and not for those injuries to reoccur, like, that's incredible. That's already incredible. I mean, I know they got all these rules for Tom Brady too, but still, He said, you
Okay,
gotta move.
okay. Do the rules play anything? Because I guess not, because he freaking won everything. So the rules don't even matter once you get the ritual going.
No,
Because if you had protection, if you had protection stones, and then these injuries right here, according to a football player, supposed to be career ending, and a man have 5 career ending injuries or whatever like that, and he's still playing, then maybe he is protected.
Obviously, the stones work.
Obviously, he's protected.
If they put in the rules after he got them stones, it's working. He got them stones, and they said, okay, you can't hit Tom no more. That's exactly what happened. He got them stones, and they said, you can't hit Tom no more. That makes perfect sense. Like how what else could happen? You know, you get protection stones. Wouldn't that be the number one protection thing for everything to be eliminated from hurting you? What would be higher than that? Like, of course, like that's like incredible right now. I think it's incredible. Nothing's higher than everybody announcing you can't hit him no more after he got those stones saying, you know, protection. After he got those protection stones. Now, that would be the number one thing. Like, if I got some protection stones, I would want that to be announced. I can no longer be touched anymore or harmed anymore. And he got that announcement. Yeah. After he got those protection stones. Like, that's amazing. We're dealing with sorcery.
We're dealing with sorcery.
Witchcraft.
Moorish science. Moorish science.
Kids, and I have these little special stones and healing stones and protection stones that she has me wear a necklace and take these drops she makes. And I say all these mantras. And I stopped questioning her a long time ago. I did. I just shut up and listened.
Right. And what some Asiatics need to do. Shut the hell up and listen. Because for all these years you've been talking BS. Shut the hell up. It's listening time now. Time to actually hear what the Moors have to say now. Hear whatever BS that you guys want to hear. Hear what the Moors have to say. Because this thing goes so far and so deep, so wide, that lots is unavoidable. So we just want to go to, since we're talking about divine, go to chapter 5 in the mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, or the Red Book. Chapter 5. Joshua again, and his first year of divine ministry. The Jewish Paschal feast time came, and Joshua left his mother in Capernaum and journeyed to Jerusalem. Journey to Jerusalem. So check Jerusalem quick fast. In the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, but if you have any type of spiritual, religious books, you should have a metaphysical dictionary. So you can have the metaphysical perspective at all times, opposed to the perspective you don't want. Metaphysical meaning of Jerusalem. We're not even going to go see about this capital city and all that BS. That's not even, because we're dealing with divine first. So forget the regular meaning that you thought what Jerusalem was. Whoever told you that's what Jerusalem was, that was BS. They freaking lied to you. Lovingly, at the table eating with you lied to your face, telling you about Jerusalem in some city somewhere. Jerusalem means habitation of peace. In man, it is the abiding consciousness of spiritual peace, which is the result of continuous realizations of spiritual power tempered with spiritual poise and confidence. Jerusalem is the quote-unquote city of David, which symbolizes the great nerve center just back of the heart. From this point, spirit sends its radiance to all parts of the body. And it goes into more. But Jerusalem means habitation of peace. And then keep in mind that Joshua is going through his divine ministry. And he's journeying to the habitation of peace. So this journey is a spiritual journey. This is not him walking on the road going to some city over there called Jerusalem. This is why we tell the Hebrews, shut the hell up and listen. Because you're telling me about some city when this is a metaphysical experience. He's not supposed to be still mundane now, today. You guys still on mundane? We've been on metaphysics and occult. So doing tarot, astrology, whatever. Like, what you mean? That's all our stuff. But they never want to go there. They want to play fists in the air games and cross themselves and be Wakanda and all this type of stuff, instead of dealing with the higher level things. Removing themselves from the divine ministry to go do some national activity with no divine backing it, just national activity only. There's a lot more. You have any chime-ins right now?
Just to add on, again, of the power of the mind. Another book, How to Uncover Your Past Lives by Ted Andrews. On page 115, how hypnotic suggestions and images work. There is an old occult axiom which states, quote, all energy follows thought. Where we put our thoughts, that is where our energy goes. We must keep in mind that the subconscious reacts and responds in a very literal manner to our thoughts and words. We tell our friends that we have lost 10 pounds and the subconscious is activated. Lost, it says, I better go find it. And it starts working with your body and mind function so that the 10 pounds are recovered. It usually throws in a few extra just in case you lose them again. We tell ourselves that we catch 2 colds every winter, and the subconscious starts working with your psychological system so that as winter comes on, you are more susceptible to catching those 2 colds. For this reason, hypnotic suggestions and images should always be clear, pleasant, and positively stated. In hypnosis, there are 4 primary laws of suggestions and imaging. And then this is the 4. I can, it's like 3 pages long, but this is the 4. The main part is, where it says we tell ourselves that how the subconscious mind works. Like I said, you tell yourself you're going to get too cold. Like I always say, Like my Moabite can tell you, I always say, I don't never get sick. I don't get sick. And then if I do get sick, it's like the end of the world because it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I never get sick. I never get sick. I've always tell myself that. Oh, I don't never get sick. Never. And then I never get sick. It's like this subconscious mind. I just always thought I just never got sick. I didn't, but when you start studying, it's like, oh, because you putting it out there in the ethers.
Yep.
You know how they say, you are what you eat, you are what you think.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then about 4 years ago, we were playing the Seahawks, and she said, you better listen to me. This is your year, but this is all the things you're going to have to do to win. And I did all those things, and by God, worked. It was pretty good. And
Okay. Now, just contemplate.
I don't like Tom Brady.
I hate Tom Brady. Yo, I hate this winner guy. Who is this winner guy? I don't even watch football, but I don't know who this winner guy is. Who the hell is this guy? Like the #1 American guy with the, you know what I mean, getting the pose on the magazine cover. Yo, who is this guy?
Yep.
The hell you talking about, American football guy?
Right. That's why my team can't never win.
Yo.
You're dealing with sorcery.
Yo, no wonder. No wonder. And that's what's up. You get the wiserhood, Tom Brady. I never knew, yo. You get the wiserhood.
Don't clap for that, man.
You get the wiserhood, yo. You get the goddamn wiserhood. I still don't like your ass. I don't like your ass still, but you get the wiserhood, buddy. You really got them good. You got them good. And then that makes me think about Jordan and Tiger Woods and the Serenas, and it's like, how much of it is skill and how much of it is, hey, we know some stuff or whatever. We know a lady who said, I'm going to win the thing. All you have to do is, and then I did that and it worked. What? Just like that? It just worked? Like, damn. And it would be crazy now to talk to like the Seahawks and them people like, hey, so how did this thing really go? Like, what happened on the ground floor? You know what I mean? And again, we have Brother Yusuf. Season must have just been crazy. You don't even know what's going on. Mans are hyped that you're winning or whatever like that. Man's wearing a shirt with a ritual going down on it. And everything manifesting. Winning because a man wore a shirt and didn't tell anybody. Again, to show you how divine works. How divine works. And he abode with one, a Sadducee, whose name was Jude. And when he reached the temple court, the multitudes were there to see the prophet whom the people thought had come to break the yoke of Rome and restore the kingdom of Jesus and the rules of David's throne. I'll just see Sadducee. Again, metaphysical, Bible dictionary. And we're also just gonna also remind you, let's find this thing quick fast. Just to remind you. Sadducees.
Forget all the other BS, what they told you about Sadducees and all that. Right? Forget the stuff that they talk about some people. These branch of the Jews who, whatever. Forget all that. Metaphysical meaning. The Sadducees and the Pharisees represent the religious concepts of the intellect. The Sadducees were a religious sect of Jews with strong materialistic beliefs, and the Pharisees were formalists without spiritual understanding. The fact is that the intellect cannot comprehend absolute truth. Its religious beliefs are all built up from conclusions based on relative conditions and are therefore of time and place. The self-sufficiency of the religionist, the Pharisee, the self-sufficiency of the agnostic, the Sadducee. The Sadducees and Pharisees represent one's preconceived religious ideas. The Jewish Paschal feast time came. Yahshua left his mother in Capernaum, journeyed to Jerusalem. Not a place, journeyed to peace. And he abode with one a Sadducee. We just read. We got Jude. He was engaging a preconceived religious idea. Him, remember what the thing was saying. Take yourself away from your thoughts so you can look at your thoughts. So this is Yahshua with a preconceived religious idea that we would say is a Jew or Jewish or Kabbalah or whatever. But that's not some religion out there. That's with him, within. So this fake idea presents itself. Because remember, he stepped away so he could look at it. So he's looking at himself and he's looking at this thought engaging the self. And when the people saw him come, they said, "All hail." But Yahushua answered not. He saw the money changers in the house of Allah, and he was grieved. The courts had been converted into marts of trade, and men were selling lambs and doves for the priests. Now, if the courts had been converted into marts of trade, wouldn't that be the same as a Moorish court selling you paperwork? Wouldn't that be the same as a Moorish court selling you identification? Or selling you whatever else that they want to sell you? Using the court for marks of trade? Isn't them telling you about UCC, put on a birth certificate and all that stuff, commerce, which is trade? Remember, we're not saying no names. We said Moorish consular court stuff. Because if we're Moors, we read the Red Book. If we read the Red Book, we know for sure that if a court had been converted into marts of trade and men were selling lambs and doves for the priests, something has to be done about this. And just let that continue, because that's supposed to be a court. Now, hold on a second. Isn't that the same thing as the courts have been converted into marts of trade? Isn't that the same thing Europeans do and put yellow stuff on your ride or whatever like that till you come pay? You're paying for something. Isn't that trade? Isn't that commerce? But it seems that you're not really trying, you're not even attempting to topple over the money changers. You just go in to pay. The court running like a mart of trade, and then you're going to go trade. And Yahshua called the priests and said, behold, for paltry gain, you have sold out the temple of Allah. You have sold out the temple of Allah. Because remember, I told you that they reached the temple court. So the temple was the court, too. The temple was the court. This house ordained for prayer is now a den of thieves. Can good and evil dwell together in the courts of Allah? I tell you, no. And then he drove them out and overturned the boards, opened up the cages of the captive birds, cut the cords that bound the lambs and set them free. The priests and scribes rushed out and would have done him harm, but the common people drove them back and stood in his defense. Sounds like he was against the system to me. Sounds like this religious BS that people say that he was about was really divine. If the people are going to back him, you know he must have been doing something divine. You know he must have had engagements with these people and didn't betray them, didn't betray their trust, didn't treat them with disrespect, dealt with them like he would want to be dealt with. And these people stood up for him, stood up in his defense. And not the sellout people, the common people. Why? Telling you that common law was going on back there. That's why it's making reference to common people. So you can know that they were dealing with governing themselves. You don't need some whoever to govern us. And then the ruler said, who is this Yahshua you can call divine? The people said, he is the one the prophets wrote concerning who would come and bring the world to love of Allah made known to men on earth, who will deliver Israel. The ruler said to Yahushua, if you be the one to come, then show us a sign. Who gave you the right to drive these merchants out? And Yahushua said, there is no loyal Jew who would not give his life to save this temple from disgrace. There is no loyal Jew. Remember, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, look up Jew. Because remember, from the start, we told you this is not some stuff going on and then people are getting, tables are turned over, and everything is mental. His self is sitting back looking at the play, watching everything play out. From the fact that there's priests and it's a temple and the common people, the prophets saying whatever, Israel, the ruler, show a sign. All of this is part of the conversation happening. The thoughts that he's observing. And Yahushua said, there is no loyal Jew who would not give his life to save his temple from disgrace. In this, I acted simply as a loyal Jew, and you yourselves will bear me witness to the truth. The sign of my messiahship will follow me in word and deed. Oh yeah, it sounds familiar. You play like you didn't hear that before. And you may tear the temple down, and in 3 days it will be built again. That'll be a good one to see. See temple. I won't tear the temple down. Whoa. What do they mean by that? What's the metaphysical of that? Temple. Solomon's temple is a symbol of the regenerated body of man, which when he attains it, he will never again leave. This enduring temple is built in the understanding of spirit as the one and only cause of all things. While Jesus came teaching that body is the temple, he brought the man the revelation of the enduring temple. We as a race are educated through symbols. The Temple of Solomon and the tabernacle that preceded it were object lessons, symbols of the true tabernacle that God pitched, but not man, of the temple not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. The heavens represent the consciousness of the ideal in each of us. The real temple idea is a permanent abiding place for the ego. The ego must be clothed upon. Man is a series of conscious projections from center ego to circumference body. This clothing is made of thoughts. And you may tear the temple down, and in 3 days it will be built again. Now Yahushua meant that they might take his life, tear his body temple of the holy breath, and he would rise again. You men of Israel hear, this man is more than a man. This man is more than man. More than man. M-O-R-E, and then you could go check M-O-R-E and see. That's it. Take heed to what you do. I have myself heard Yahushua speak, and all the winds were still. And you will see his star arise, and it will grow until it is in the full orbed sun of love. Then Yahushua said, prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king. But you can never see the king while you press sin to your hearts. This king is Allah. The pure in heart alone can see the face of Allah and live. Now, you drop that on some Negroes. The king is Allah, Negroes. The pure in heart alone can see the face of sin. They be pulling up their Bible to you and then tell you that you're the devil and all that stuff. When you just gave them the jewel. Divine is first for a reason. I just want to put this reference out too, with regard to the first principle. This is the first principle. Page 317. The Science of Love, John Baines. There is a golden rule in love. If love is self-motivated and actualized, it is certainly authentic. If love is based only on passion, then it does not actually exist. The problem is that very few people have the necessary wisdom to judge a particular love situation. As long as a person has not become a master of love, he will lack the necessary discretion to judge these situations precisely. So love has to be mastered, since that's the first principle. And we are claiming to honor that. The following list defines the first column, the golden rules of love and love's genuine qualities, while the other column defines the opposing traits and absence of love. So this is how you know when you're dealing with Moors who are principle first or put all the other type of BS first. And then say honors the noble Drew Ali and say they're done with this. So true love. So this is how you know true Moors. The noble Drew Ali made specifically faithful Moors and all that. There's dirty bastards over there that they're not Moors, they're robbers. So they would be fooled by them telling you that they're Moors. They're robbers. So the true and faithful Moors, the loyal members of all of the temples, true love is giving, asking for nothing. True love is unselfish, is self-motivated, is the product of a process, is experienced with open eyes, does not manipulate the partner, allows one's individuality to flourish, does not depend on sex to survive, has continuity, can survive prolonged separations, is wise, is mature. The fake love, or the stuff to look for to know whether these people are really with this love first or they're just talking some BS. Is it honors the noble Drew Ali and then you think that they're Moors that you should be dealing with. But false love is demanding and intolerant, is basically selfish, is compulsive based on passion, may happen at first sight, is hypnotic, manipulates the partner, denies one's individuality, depends on sex for its survival, has no continuity, instead interruptions, dies out with prolonged separations, is impulsive and ignorant, is infantile, rests on obligations and oaths, is rigid, depends on how useful the partner is, generates anxiety, discontent, conformity, gives only fleeting pleasure and enjoyment, or causes misfortune, decreases with time, needs hypocrisy, lies, and pretense. Communication exists at only one level, is unequal, exploitative, and allows no individual liberty. There's liberties in there? Talking about the absence of love traits? Now, denying you liberty would be telling you that the temple made you a Moor. And if you leave the temple, we're going to take away your card, and then you can't be a Moor because they took your card. That's not really how it goes. That sounds like you're trying to take away my liberty. If you try to take away my liberty, then obviously you're not dealing with first principle. And the list goes on. Is governed by pride, jealousy, vanity, selfishness, obligations, and the dictates of society. Conforms with social convention and cultural patterns. Is passive and governed by habit and inertia. Notice all he said more are active, not passive. But then you have passivity running rampant because all these people just sitting in front of their stuff, make some video, dress up somebody's basement, make it look like some whatever. That's passive. Noble said all Moors are active. Is programmed and static. There's so much.
Shalom, Ranshi.
Please, Mark.
If I can just add on real quick.
Yeah, Mark, go right in.
In the Encyclopedia of Occultism, a compendium of, this is the title of the book. It's called an Encyclopedia of Occultism, a compendium of information on occult sciences, occult personalities, psychic science, magic, demonology, spiritism, mysticism, and metaphysics. The true comprehensive treasury of occult knowledge from all times and places. More than 2,500 entries and articles by Lewis Spence. On page 299, the definitions of obsession and possession. You was just going in on that. Obsession, from Latin, obsessionum, obsidiare, to besiege, is a form of insanity caused, according to traditional belief, by the persistent attack of an evil spirit without. This being the opposite of possession, control by an evil spirit from within. Both meaning, however, the usurpation of the individuality and control of the body by a foreign and discarded entity. This belief may be found in the earliest records of human history and in the magical rites and formula of ancient religions used as charms against and exorcisms of these invading influences. Islam.
Islam. It's real out here. Don't think it's not. Do not think it's not. Individuals generally lack true inner morality, which is the product of self-motivation. There can exist moral passion, which is passive, but a true moral act is very rare because it is born of the will. Therefore, there are three types of morality: social or external, programmed and individual, self-motivated and individual. And human beings can be divided into four groups: the immoral ones who don't comply with the law, basically immoral ones who comply with the law through fear, those who have internalized part of the social morals and comply with the norms, not out of fear, but out of an inner conviction that is conditioned and educated by the social message. In this group, respect for morals is only a conditioned reflex and not self-motivated. And those who comply with the moral and juridical rules out of free inner motivation and not out of any sort of external coercion. So I already know more, you already know 4 is where we want to be at. You don't want to be the immoral ones who don't comply with the law. That's these morals telling you divine constitution only and forget the constitution of whatever and forget treaties and CMB didn't bring that and all that crazy stuff that they're talking. Those are those immoral ones. The ones that are playing like this is some religious whatever, right? Because remember, the point of the virtual temple is to have a real temple. Not a virtual temple, and then there's no real temple for people to go to. That's not a temple. That's a YouTube page. Stop talking BS. Because you dress it up like a temple, that means that's temple? Basically, immoral ones who comply with the law through fear. So that's the ones who go on YouTube, talk BS, but they never fought a ticket. They go pay every time. And when they go to a store to go get their J's and stuff like that, they're paying tax like a good slave. They go get their phone and all their little societal BS that they have to have in order to be somebody in society. They're paying tax like good niggers because they don't want to be themselves. They want to be foreigners. Especially in the mind state. They want to be themselves, but they'll gladly be a foreigner. Gladly. We not only want to attempt to rehabilitate love and morality, but also to rescue the spiritual values of humanity, which are caught up in a sea of materialism, having lost the path to evolution. I'll run that one again. And remember what humanity is, Mars. Just remember what humanity is. Remember who humanity is. We want not only to attempt to rehabilitate love and morality, but also to rescue the spiritual values of humanity, which are caught up in the sea of materialism, having lost the path to evolution. Remember who humanity is. There is also a dark side of moral conduct and a divine type of moral conduct. There's a dark side of moral conduct, and then there's a divine type of moral conduct. Please, more.
No, more.
You got anything to add on?
You know, you was just going in, Banshee.
All right, more.
I was. I yield the floor for right now.
Islam. There is also a dark side of moral conduct and a divine type of moral conduct, more closely related to natural law than to human law. Okay, so if rights are natural, and are governed by nature, no more should be telling you about you should follow some human law. Because human law goes into all types of crazy jurisdictions. So far, we have referred only briefly to natural legality. The subject of natural law is most important and is a concept which can be understood by comparing it with moral law. So moral law, ethical, may be violated. It is expressed in prescriptive language. It prevails in the realm of effects and results. It is the expression of an imperative that is of a valid and objective principle of universal legislation. Natural law, scientific, cannot be violated. It is expressed in expedient and practical language. It prevails in the realm of causes. It can be proved. It is the expression of the constant relationships observed in the phenomena of nature. Please, more.
What's wrong?
Oh, no, I
just want to add on, because we don't want to make it seem like we're dealing with, the following some guy or something like that. So, the mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, Chapter 8, the Council of the Seven of the World. And Vidyati said, our priests have all gone mad. They saw a demon in the wilds, and at him cast their lamps, and they all broken up, and not a gleam of light has any priest for men. And not a gleam of light has any priest for men. The night is dark. The heart of India calls for light. The priesthood cannot be reformed. It is already dead. Its greatest needs are graves and funeral chants. The new age calls for liberty, the kind that makes each man a priest. enables him to go alone and lay his offerings on the shrine of Allah. Islam, Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, chapter 8.
Islam, priesthood is dead. The Lesson of Evil, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen. Page 57. It is not sufficient to deny or ignore evil. It must be understood. It is not enough to pray to God to remove the evil. You must find out why it is there and what lesson it has for you. It is of no avail to fret and fume and chafe at the chains that bind you. You must know why and how you are bound. Therefore, you must get outside yourself and begin to examine and understand yourself. You must cease to be a disobedient child in the school of experience and must begin to learn with humility and patience the lessons that are set forth for your edification and ultimate perfection. For evil, when rightly understood, is found to be not an unlimited power or principle in the universe, but a passing phase of human experience, and it therefore becomes a teacher to those who are willing to learn. Evil is not an abstract, something outside of yourself. It is an experience in your own heart, and by patiently examining and rectifying your heart, you will gradually be led into the discovery of the origin and nature of evil, which will necessarily be followed by its complete eradication. All evil is corrective and remedial and is therefore not permanent. It is rooted in ignorance of the true nature and relation of things. And so long as we remain in that state of ignorance, we remain subject to evil. It is rooted in ignorance of the true nature and relation of things. Chapter 1, Creation and Fall of Man. And so long as we remain in the state of ignorance, we remain subject to evil. There is no evil in the universe which is not the result of ignorance and which would not, if we were ready and willing to learn its lesson, lead us to higher wisdom and then vanish away. But people remain in evil, and it does not pass away because they are not willing or prepared to learn the lesson that it came to teach them. I knew a child, when its mother took it to bed, cried to be allowed to play with the candle. And one night, when the mother was off guard for a moment, the child took hold of the candle, and the inevitable result followed. And the child never wished to play with the candle again. But its one foolish act, it learned, and learned perfectly, the lesson of obedience, and entered into the knowledge that fire burns. And this incident is a complete illustration of the nature, meaning, and ultimate result of an all sin and evil. As the child suffered through its own ignorance of the real nature of fire, so older children suffer through the ignorance of the real nature of the things which they weep for and strive after, and which harm them when they are secured. The only difference being that the latter case, the ignorance and evil are more deeply rooted and obscure. Evil has always been symbolized by darkness, and good by light, and hidden within the symbol is contained the perfect interpretation, the reality. For just as light always floods the universe, and darkness is only a mere speck or shadow cast by a small body intercepting a few rays of illuminable light, so the light of the supreme good is the positive and life-giving power which floods the universe, and evil, the insignificant shadow cast by the self that interprets and shuts off the illuminated rays which strive for entrance. Islam.
Islam, Grand Sheik.
Please more.
I just want to add on. This is coming out of the book 5/5/2000, Ice, the Ultimate Disaster, by Richard W. Nunes. On page 5, the ancient astronomer stonemasons know that enlightened people can never be enslaved, and that ignorant people can never be set free. I want to read that one more time.
Yeah.
The ancient astronomer stonemasons knew that an enlightened people can never be enslaved, and that ignorant people can never be set free.
Ignorant people could never be set free. That's harsh. That is harsh. Ignorant people can never be set free. Wow. Peace and love to all Moors. Wherever you're at, you gotta make sure that we finish our friend here. Make sure we finish our friend.
And then in 2015, it was about early January, and she said, "You know how much I love you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I just want to let you know this is not going to be your year." Oh. And of course we lost. I said, "What does 16 look like?" And she said, 16 is going to be your year. So it was early January this year, and I said, "Babe, I asking, like, do we have a chance?" And she said, "Yeah, but you're going to have to do a lot of work, and you're really going to have to listen to me." So, man, I listened to her. And right after the game, she said, "See, I did a lot of work. You do your work, I do mine." She said, "You're lucky you married a witch. I'm just a good witch."
Any superstition?
Ha ha ha. Funny, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's funny. But there's no Salem witch trial for that, though.
No Salem witch trial for that. No Salem witch trial for that. No Salem witch trial for that. We got a surprise for the Moors. They give me one right now. No surprise for the Moors. Give me one. Always hitting it. Always on it. Islam, brother Yusuf, you got any close out?
Yeah, Islam to all the Moors in the chat. Give honors and praises to Allah. Give honors to the Prophet. Give thanks for his sheep for your platform. Give thanks to all the Moors in the chat. Islam.
Islam.
And Islam to the mothers.
Islam to the mothers.
Because even when we went in, the whole thing was still back to the mother.
Right.
The whole thing was about the mother.
Yep. So honors to the mothers. We give honors to Allah, honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honors to Messiah Garvey, and all Moors everywhere, wherever you're at. And Islam to the Moors in the chat. Enjoy this one, Moors.
Rest in peace. Yeah. To all the people we lost along the way. Damn. You know it's a struggle every day. They know we original. They know we Moors. They know we've been all around the world. Always was here. You can take me out this life, but I will still be there. In the air and through my ears and in the atmosphere. Cause I know I'll have my day. I'll keep walking along that way. I don't kneel, I stand and pray. I can hear the spirit say, just push, just push, yeah. Keep holding on until you're gone. And just push, yeah. Just push. Keep holding on until you're gone.
In the wilderness of hell, here building up ourselves, facing tribulations, hold your head and make it well. With divine inspiration, we could break off all the spells. Spirit, he that dwell in the body, just a shell. Truth, good for health, like oxygen for cells. This the type of music can't find up on the shelves. Applying it with sense without trying nothing else. Seeing more results, no denying you got help. Reflection, let me talk to you. Step out your manifest, I'ma walk with you. Every day I see you stressed with all your struggles and regrets. The pressure fully pressed, gotta overcome the depths. Preparation age, every day we getting tests. Mind never forgets, just focus on the best. By giving it your all, you will earn your respect. Everything takes time, just say the holy breath.
You can take me out this life, but I will still be there. In the air and through my ears and in the atmosphere. Cause I know I'll have my day. I'll keep walking along that way. I don't kneel, I stand and pray. I can hear the ancestors say, ooh, it's time, it's time, it's time, it's time. It's time, it's time. The doctor said push and I came out my mama naked. And one thing about me is my spirit ain't breaking. Their souls are possessed by the lower self, Satan. The devil stay waiting for the future generations. I gotta push my people away from all the hating. Do you remember the time when you thought you wouldn't make it? You kept holding on because you're strong. Like the 100-year-old man facing his death, like a 1-year-old baby about to take her first step. She kept holding on because she's strong. You can take me out this life, but I will still be there. In the air and through my ears and in the atmosphere. Cause I know I'll have my day. I'll keep walking along that way. I don't kneel, I stand and pray. I can hear the spirit say, push, just push. Keep holding on until you're gone. And just push. And keep holding on until you're gone. Just push.